I love that. It's so cute. Hey, everybody. Hi. Hello. Okay, so we're a little late because I got screwed up on the time change. Go figure. So happy, fun, freak out Friday. And we're here with my amazing friend, April Dodd.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, April Dodd.
Hi, this is Dawn.
I like it because you've got your master's in arts, right?
I have my master's in spiritual psychology.
Okay, but it says your MA, right?
Yeah, it's a
So
master's. Yeah. Mhm.
but it's also ma, and that's kind of your thing, talking about
Oh, I am.
moms. So
Yeah.
you have a group called Spiritual Mom Babes or Spiritual
Yeah.
Babes Mom.
Spiritual mom babe. Yeah.
Spiritual Mom Babes. Is that like
Yeah.
the greatest thing ever? Spiritual Mom Babes. It's
Well,
so
we are.
cute.
We are.
I love it. And if any of you out there are moms, let us know. Say hi. Let us know that we're coming through okay on this fun Freak Out Friday. Just say hello to us. Hey, say hi to me in April.
Yes,
April,
please.
so you've been doing well, you've been on a spiritual journey for a long time,
Yeah.
and you're a mom, and you specifically talk about how to maintain your energy, how to maintain balance, and also be a mother, and also, well, you really got hit. I mean, not just the pandemic, but you're in Texas, and you
Yeah.
really, really got hit during this
Yeah.
horrible storm.
Right. 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 We did, and we were already hunkering down together,
Right,
and
right.
right, everybody's in their different rooms with their different virtual devices to get onto their whatever virtually. And then that all got shut down because of the weather. And then, yeah, we were losing our gas and our heat and our water. And it got pretty Laura Ingalls Wilder around here.
I know
All
I was emailing you like, can I
and
please just send you some bottles of water? I mean, that's the one thing I was like really worried about the most is that you didn't have
really
because you were
sweet.
like in the thick of it. I mean, you were just in the thick of the storm. Hello, Vicky. Vicky's here. Hello, Vicky. Hi. We're gonna play romper room as people start to come in. But I think that is like that was so wild to me because you wrote to me and you said, you know, we're in the thick of this, we're in Texas, it's literally a shitstorm, and you've got your husband and your two kids.
I have one daughter and one girl. One
You have
daughter,
one.
one son.
Oh, why did I think you had two boys? Maybe because they're both so powerful enough to be
Yeah. I know.
boys.
You got that right.
Oh my God. And you've already been in lockdown with kids. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, that whole mess happened in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that you're banned with this. And any of you out there watching, how many of you have kids and have really, really struggled during this time, during the pandemic, and keeping them occupied, keeping them entertained, and then having to also work on top of that? Like, I honestly don't know if because my mom was a single mom, I don't know how she would have done it during this time and not be able to send the kids to school and doing that. So tell me how you've been navigating, and then especially during that whole storm in Texas, like what happened there. So share
Well,
with us.
the storm is a whole different like level, right? I mean, if we're a mom, we're at a level, right? Because we're facing things that it doesn't matter how much training you have. I mean, I used to be a teacher and I'm the youngest of six. Like I loved kids, but it's a different game when you are actually in it. And
Yeah,
there's no amount of preparation or teaching that gets you there. You learn as you go, and hopefully you're at least one step ahead. And
right,
you're not, you need to go in your closet, pull out your phone, and find something on your phone to support you so you can get at least get one step ahead and one moment of silence. But
right.
adding to that, of course, the storm, the pandemic, and everybody's home, and we're all learning how to navigate that, right? We have to set up the house differently so everybody has a quiet area. But I don't put my kids in their bedrooms with their computers because they sleep in there. I like to separate that kind of energy. Like that's a peaceful place. That's their sacred place. And so we need to figure out the household stuff. How are we going to navigate this? My husband's going to be in his office. I've got to be in mine. Everybody's got to be in their different areas. But then who's going to handle it when they have tech issues? Who's going to handle it when they need some lunch? Who's going to handle it when they need some supplies or whatever? So we've got that. And then you've got the pandemic. I mean, the Texas storm, right?
Texas storm. The snowstorm.
Apocalypse, I think we've been calling it, because it froze everything. And you would think, we're from the Midwest, so we know how to drive in storms. but we don't have the infrastructure. So people up north like to say, oh, you guys just don't know how to drive. That's not the case. We don't have salt for our streets. We don't have sand. We don't have plows. We don't have any of that. So you can't navigate through the roads very easily or safely. There's tons of cars on the road, so you can't go out. So we can't go out. The school's been canceled. You got hungry, bored kids that can't go outside and burn off their energy. The temperatures are dropping. We're wearing blankets. We're popping tents, putting blankets over tents. We ran out of firewood. We've got no gas to cook on. We're using the microwave. You can't order pizza. You've got grateful we had power. Not everybody had power, right? So they've got, lost all of that. And then at some point we lost our water. Gratefully, we filled up our tubs, but we're hauling buckets of water to the toilet so we can wash the toilets.
Okay, so you filled up tubs because you knew. And what about melting the snow? I mean, here's what I don't understand is that how come? So here's what I don't get, April, is that how come the pipes froze in Texas, but they don't freeze like in South Dakota, or Janet's here from Canada. Hi, Janet. Or in Canada, how come? Because they build the houses differently, so the pipes don't freeze?
Yep. Because people are now finding out now that it's spring here. Texas likes to tease you and say, oh, that never happened. Spring's here. Everybody's like, oh, we're all outside, but just a week and a half ago, we were freezing
It was a mess.
But people are turning on their sprinklers now, and they're finding the leaks, the cracks from the freezing pipes that busted the pipe. So everybody here is dealing with that. Our yards look like a tornado hit because there's just dead stuff all over the place, and you can't get a landscaper because everybody's trying that. So we're trying to deal with that as parents, and then you have the kids, right, that are needing our attention, that have been cooped up in the house, that are just demanding on us, little need machines, and that really, really need us. And so how do we as moms stay in a place of center? And you said balance earlier, and I've come to learn that balance is kind of it's a false lead. I think we hope for balance.
Right.
I think it's really more about when we live so much of our lives not in balance. The kids are going crazy, or they're fighting, or they're upset. There's not a balance in that moment. The peace comes when us ourselves are in a place of connection. And so that's what I teach my women, my group, my clients.
Spiritual mom babes. I love that.
It's about bringing that spiritual connection into our parenting, into ourselves first, into our parenting, and also reclaiming and remembering who we are. So that's the 3 parts: spiritual mom and babe, right? We're having that connection to our spirit, to our source in that moment, while we're in face-to-face with our child who's having a major meltdown, whatever it is, so that we're not also losing our center. So we're not also spinning off and thinking, wow, how inconsiderate of you, child. I've got this, and this to handle right now. It's that we can stay in our connection, which is the one connection. So that's the balance, meaning we are attached to something more grounded than trying to keep the peace here and trying to keep the peace there. I think for moms, sometimes there's a difference between controlling and oneness, right? We call it balance.
I think the biggest thing that I hear, because I'm not a mom, but the biggest thing that I hear is that there's no space because you are always taking care. And Jody Harvala's here. Hi,
Jody Harvala. Jody knows.
She's also a spiritual mom babe. She's got kids in I want to say North Dakota, South Dakota. She's in one of the Dakotas, and it's freezing there. And so what are some tips that you can give moms? Because the biggest thing that I always hear is there's no space, there's no time. It's always doing this. I'm either cleaning, or I'm cooking, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And it's exhausting, right?
It is exhausting.
I'm having a hard time just cooking for me and my husband, let alone 2 little ones. And your kids are what? They're 7 and 9 or something?
No, my son is 10.
Okay.
And he's a sensitive boy. And then I have a 12-year-old, highly sensitive, fierce daughter.
Oh, no. And who's going into adolescence. Have fun with that.
We'll talk next time about that, please.
Yeah, no kidding. So how are you keep and you also do your work, right? You do your writing, you do your work, and your husband works. Like how do you keep your shit together and find time for yourself to be able to stay grounded?
Well, you know what? There isn't the time. You know, I know a lot of people really promote wake up earlier, get your exercise in, do your meditation, do your journaling. That's ideal, but that's not always a reality. And I don't want moms to beat themselves up or throw it all out if they can't have that. I
Right.
think me, what I love to teach is, and I go live every Tuesday called for a live called Presence and Practice, spiritual tips and tools for tranquility and triumph over those moments. It's about how we are inside ourselves in that moment. So
Mhm.
if I can't get up and do my meditation in the morning because my son's in my face first thing in the morning, it's when can I? I know this sounds crazy, but you can go into the restroom and have a minute to yourself. You can
Yes.
close your eyes in there for 7 conscious breaths. 7 conscious breaths where you imagine yourself just expanding and pushing out anything that is unworthy of love. You can
Mm.
take breaths. You can go in the car and drive around the block. You know, if you have little ones that are old enough to stay home, even just a little bit, go drive around the block. There's so many things that we can do that we say we can't because we imagine I need a block of time. That's ideal, that's great. But if we don't have that, we take it in the moments that we can. We can look at our child while they're talking about Pokemon, and it'd be nice to be really present with them. But if we can't, then use that time to just breathe 7 times of focused breathing while you're there with them. Feel your toes in your shoes, wiggle your toes, make sure you're here and grounded. The other
Oh, I'm
thing that
doing all this now, and I don't even have children. I'm like,
right,
okay, I'm
and
consciously
that's the thing,
breathing.
and, you know, Liz, you and I talked about this before, about doing self-forgivenesses, which
Yes.
is catching
Yeah.
the judgments that we're having on ourselves. You know, we have these high expectations that I should be really present right now. Well, that would be great, but you know what? Let's give ourselves a break because we've got so much pressure. And the last thing we need on top of a pandemic and our children home and all the tech issues and all the, you know, filling the pantry issues and all the
Right.
laundry, like whatever it is in our own work, the last thing we need is something else. So it's about catching the judgments and expectations we're putting on ourselves and
I
just
love
simply
that.
in our heart, go in the bathroom if you need to. It's, and my closet is my favorite place. I've got a chair in there.
Oh,
I
I
can
can't
go.
believe you said that. My closet is my favorite place too. But I'm
Okay,
overwhelmed.
that's it, but it's a,
I
we
have a
need it.
meditation room, but my husband always knows, like, if I'm super, super overwhelmed and I'm upset about, I'm in the back of my closet somewhere.
Right, right.
Why
And I'm
is that?
like,
Why is that? It's like the
it's
closet. Come out of the closet.
right, right. But if we have judgment about it, then forgive that judgment too. It's how loving can I be with myself right now? And how
Right.
can I more fully appreciate the love and the guidance that is in here and with me right now?
Mm,
How can I more fully appreciate that right now? And then we have to step aside enough, just enough, however
mhm,
briefly, to allow a new thought to come in, to allow a new breath to come in this moment, right now. And then I
mm,
forgive myself for judging myself as an incompetent mother. I forgive myself
right.
for judging myself as not present. When the truth is that I really want to be here and I love my son. The truth is I'm having a time right now and I need some quiet time. The other thing I would suggest is we actually say, use, and do boundaries. Say the word boundaries to our children.
Oh,
I don't think we
boundaries.
actually,
Okay. I don't think a lot of parents do that. How many
I
people
don't
are parents out there that actually use that word, boundaries, with your children?
right?
Anybody?
So I will say something like, I am going to go meditate for 5 minutes. I will be in my room. Please do not
Mhm.
disturb me. That is my boundary. And if they come in, which they will, it's a great teaching moment. You just crossed my boundary. That was my boundary. I asked you if you would please leave me alone. And I feel upset about that. I feel, you know, when we can let our children know how we feel, they know that we're human too. And when
Right.
they know that we're human, they can start to think of us in different ways and start to treat us in different ways and listen with us and share with us in different ways. And so I've really, during the time of this pandemic, have been really shifting the way that I am speaking with them and to
Mhm.
myself. I think that's been the biggest key, and to my husband too. Sharing a lot of feelings. But a feeling is not, I feel like you are crossing my boundary. That's not a feeling. I feel violated. I
Right.
feel bothered.
And how do your kids respond to that when you share with your feelings with them? Because I mean, is that okay that mommy has feelings?
Yeah, well, it depends on the child. My son will say he's sorry. I'm sorry, mommy. Or I'll hear him. I'll hear the door open, and then I'll hear it close because he knows. He'll see me
Yeah.
sitting on the floor quietly, or sometimes he'll come in, and he's learned since he was a little boy to come in and sit. He used to sit on my lap when I would meditate and just be quiet. So he knows how to
Oh,
do that, right? We've trained them in a way. We don't train them to be something, but we train them to honor our space and who
right.
I am. And meditating is important to me. But when he when he does cross that line, he will say he's sorry. My daughter doesn't like to be wrong. She doesn't like to, she's a preteen, right? So she'll say she's sorry, but she'll say, "Why are you being so dramatic?" And I get to say,
She's going to eat those words in about 2 years, if
I
not
know.
shorter.
We're
Just
letting her down.
wait till 13 hits.
Oh my God. But I get to say in that moment, as calmly as I can, I'm not being dramatic. I'm setting my boundary. And if you're having a hard time with that, let's talk. Do we need to have a hard talk? I'd love to talk more with you about this because I'm different than you. This is important to
Wow.
me.
Mhm.
And so when she gets to know what's important to me, and when she gets to hear my feelings, I feel really unsettled when I don't get to meditate.
Right.
I'm really bothered that I had this line drawn and it wasn't honored.
Right. And being able to
Oh,
set those boundaries when your kids are around. So one of them is upset and the other one's like, I'm so sorry.
yeah. So can I
Polar opposites of each other.
Yeah.
Polar
Oh, I have
opposites.
4 kids.
So
I don't
what
know
are
any parents who have 2 kids that are like, "Oh, they're exactly the same." Like, I mean, it's very rare,
Yeah, I
but
know my
they're
sister and I are like the opposite ends of everything too. So what are some of the things like in your groups? What are some of the things like some of the biggest challenges that come up for moms during this time, like in terms of education? And what about single moms? Like how are people navigating through that when you've got like a woman and she's the only person around? Like what happens
I
then?
don't you know what? I think there's a couple words that, everybody's using right now, and it's the word challenge. And I am really steering away from that word. I know I was kind of spiritually brought up to use that word. Like it's not a negative thing. It's a challenge. It's an
Yeah,
opportunity, which
right.
I love in some way. But with with everything that's been going on for us, I think the last thing we want to think about is that we've been challenged. I think for it's time for us moms to reframe that because we do have an opportunity here to see that we have um, an opportunity to honor ourselves as we are, that we're doing the best we can with what we have available to us in that moment to go through whatever it is at hand for us. And in that moment, we may not have everything we had, 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And for us to be more graceful with ourselves, more forgiving, more
Right.
gentle. And those are practices. I know those sound like, words that everybody's saying right now. Let's just be gentle with ourselves and we're all in a new space. But it's a practice too. How can I in this moment be more gentle with myself? How can I in this moment be more gentle with my spouse, with my son, with
Mhm.
my daughter? And I think the people, you say, how are we navigating this? I want to say that a lot of us moms are saying, we're not. We're pulling ourselves out of the rubble all the time. We talk about frontline workers who I honor and respect, but there's also another frontline worker, and it's us moms who are holding down so much of the fort, doing so much of the work and the demand, the new level of demands that are upon us right now. So when we go online and we see, a new challenge, a 5-day challenge, we're like, no, thank you. No more challenges.
No. We've had enough of those. Thank you very much.
Vacation one, like, stay away. I just, so what I'm doing right now, I'm turning 50 in April. And
Uh-huh.
in February, like February 28th, was 50 days until I was 50. So I'm doing something called 50 to 50, where I'm doing something every day to honor myself, to transform something that's really important to me, to become, do, and have that 50-year-old being I said I was going to be. And so
Mhm.
I've got my group, we're all doing, our own personal one thing that's really important to us right now, to really honor ourselves. It's not a challenge. I don't want a challenge. It's an experience I'm having. So I'm doing new things with my health, with my fitness, with my relationships, doing new things with my book. I'm writing my next book. So it's just been really exciting and fun to do things that really make me happy, that light me up, that aren't a challenge right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's things that are just honor your spirit instead of, and I love that because the 10-day challenges and all these challenges I see come up, that's such a beautiful point. I've been like walking away from those and I haven't understood why, but you just articulated it so clearly. It's because we're already being pushed. And you as a mom, you're already your patience level, your, trying to figure out how are your kids going to maintain, how have they been maintaining school? I mean, what did you do during that time? Because all of a sudden you had all, you were in the home, your husband, I'm assuming, had to be
Yeah.
grounded and he was in the home. So
Yeah.
be grounded. That's what I call it. Like we were grounded with our live events. We got grounded and we were sent to our rooms. And so now
Yeah.
we're here and we've been grounded. So how have you handled that in terms of like their education? Like all of a sudden they're at home going to school.
Yeah, this is really tough because you've got a mixed bag here. You've got the school, the kind of school that the kids are at, right? You've
Right?
got my kids are at a private school. They were at a Montessori when it first started, and so Montessori was scrambling because they at that time they weren't doing technology anything, right? Stay away from technology. So that was a learning curve. So that put a lot of work on us moms to be doing things at home. So I had to work with my son on that. My daughter was contained. She had a class online. They figured it out right away.
Mm-hmm.
Later, they gave the option to come in person if you want, or call in virtually. So they hold that standard throughout the whole school year. So she can come in or stay home. And she's more sensitive. She doesn't want to be around people who take their masks on and off like kids do. So she wants to stay home. She's fine. She's contained. She stays in her, space all day, comes down for lunch, stirs the pot a little bit, and then goes back upstairs. And then for my son, though, you've got children who have certain disabilities or certain needs. Like my son has dysgraphia, which is a writing disability. And so he needs certain one-on-one. He needs certain, writing homework or ability to do math in a certain way. And I'm not qualified to do that. I was a music teacher, so what do I know about that? I can teach him how to play the piano, but so it's that part. So when he gets frustrated at school, I've got to be there to support him, right? I've got to stop my work and be there to support him.
Right.
I will support my daughter. She may not be the squeaky wheel when it comes to school, but she still needs support. And I think it's those kids too who aren't the squeaky wheel that still need to be recognized that they're not getting their social interactions. She still
Yeah.
needs
I
friends.
wondered about that too. Were there behavioral changes in your kids because of that? Like I wondered how that isolation was handled on kids because we're seeing it in adults,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But how did the children handle that?
Well,
Behaviorally at home and all, all those things that you went through with them.
what started to happen is they were starting to realize. So it's a blessing and a curse in many ways, right?
Right.
Um, they started to rely on each other. So they're really, really great friends. They do lots of things together. But my daughter is 12. She needs 12-year-old girls who are talking about, getting their period and things like
Starting
that.
to wear makeup and stuff like that, right?
Right. And he wants to paint his nails. And he's like, all right, because he's got nothing else to do. So you've got this going on. But at the same time, there's kind of a projection of the normal things that she needs to go through that she's projecting onto us. That it's not our
Wow.
place to go through it with her. And same with my son. He needs to get outside and run around and climb trees and whatever. We bought both my kids some swings that hang in the doors, so they swing inside as a sense of motion, as a sense of gravity moving, as a sense of connecting to their own bodies. Because they're not,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So they
And
fight a
so
lot. So I'm navigating that, right? So I'm the emotional coach at 11:30 a.m. every day and at 3 o'clock to the rest of the day every day. So there's a
uh,
lot of frontline moms who are, having to wear many, many hats right now. And if we don't draw our boundaries and state our boundaries and state when they've been crossed, we're definitely
Mhm.
going to lose ourselves, and we're
Wow.
going to lose our connection to our spirits. And that's why
And
it's
that's
really,
what you've been teaching a lot in the group. And for those of you that are just joining us, this is April Dodd, and she's got a group called Spiritual Mom Babes. Again, that's Spiritual Mom Babes. You can search for it in Facebook and join the group. But this
yeah,
is it's one of the things that you've been teaching moms about is how to stay spiritual centered, how to
yeah,
navigate these interesting moments that we're going through. And April and I have been talking about how she's been dealing it with her kids, and she was also went through this entire storm in Texas with no water and no gas and ran out of firewood. And I mean, that was a shit storm in and of itself. So that's what we're talking about. If any of you have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm not a mom, but I cannot imagine going through what we've just been through with kids. I think that would be like compounded, and you lose yourself,
yeah,
being a mom to begin with, and then having this on top of it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's
It
what you've
really
been
pushes
working.
on the buttons of, so many of us moms really want of course, for our children to have a beautiful life, and for our
Mhm.
children to love themselves. And as much as we want to model that, when we see them hurting right now, we want to swoop in and
Right.
save them and rescue them and give them what they need. Give them more TV time if that's going to make them happy, and it's going to make me happy because I get a breath. Then we feel guilty because we've given away our time, and we feel guilty that we're not connecting with them. One woman had said to me, I feel guilty not taking time for myself. But then if I go out for a run, I feel guilty because I could be doing other things. Like she's
Oh,
in the prep, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
what we got to talk about was really, I mean, a lot of us right now are really honing in on what really makes us happy.
Right.
Our life kind of got shoved in our face right now. Like, wow, I've been using my life to do this, and it could be gone next week, right? If I get coronavirus, whatever. So it's, am I doing what makes me happy right now? It's being present. Am I doing what really, really makes me happy right now? So
I
that
mean,
when,
and this is so, I mean, I'm just going to stop you for a second. This is so applicable, not just for moms, but for all of us right now, in
yeah,
terms of, am I really doing what's making me happy? Because
right,
this is definitely a time to really reflect and realize, where in our lives can we make changes? What do we have control over? What can we do to make things different or more bright or more, passionate or more productive for ourselves?
yeah, yeah,
So everything you're teaching is really, I mean, applies to all of us right now. And I just love it.
sure,
And I love this thing that you said. This was so important. What you just shared about, even if you have to go to the bathroom to take 1 minute by yourself to drop into meditation, to take a few breaths. Because there are days that I'll scream, I didn't get to meditate this morning. And I think I have to sit down for an hour and meditate. I
right,
mean, yes, in a perfect world, but you know what? I can take that minute
yeah,
and just ground
yeah,
myself because I've been doing it for so long. So it's come to me just like that.
yeah, yeah.
So I know how to do that. And even just getting that 1 minute nourishment.
It is, if there's anybody out there who's studied the Course in Miracles, and I had started studying the Course in Miracles about 20 years ago. One of the things that I'm doing in my 50 days till I turn 50 is revisiting that in a whole new way. I mean, when I first did it, I wasn't a mom. I could sit down and do the longer lessons in that book, which could be up to 40
Right.
minutes. But the initial lessons are like a minute long, and they transform your life. And so I'm
Yes.
revisiting it again. And what I'm doing, I don't know if you could see, I've written on my hand. I write on my hand every
Oh,
day, and I write the kind of the first letter of each word in that sentence. Today is, no, I can't even read it. I am as God created me. And I read, and so I read the lesson in the morning. I set my timer for 5 minutes. And if I go over, I'm okay with that. But I'm going to give myself a minimum. It's a must for me. And when I make it a must, it gets done. It happens. I must go to the bathroom. Kids don't argue that.
right.
Double whammy it and bring in spiritual practice while you're in the bathroom if you need to. That's okay.
Love
God's
that.
not judging you for that. Like, get in there. And I love the part about just even for a moment, however briefly, stand aside. Just however briefly, stand
Mm.
aside from all thoughts, all beliefs, all judgments that are unworthy of Him whose host you are. And so if I can give myself even that 1 minute, even as I'm talking to you, Liz, and I can see you here on the screen, I can hear my inner chatter, but I can also hear part of me that's just staying still. And we learn to tune in, right? We get which one we focus on. And that's what I'm calling balance, is connecting with the one that's solid, not connecting with the one that's all over the place.
And choosing those thoughts that do serve you rather than choosing thoughts and feelings and actions that don't serve you.
Yeah.
That's huge. Absolutely. Oh, April, this has been such a fun conversation. So I want to segue into something. So you've been teaching this for quite some time now, and you are also participating in our Celebrate Your Life Speakers Training Program.
Mm-hmm.
And you were in the speakers training program. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because Sunny and I are teaching this again. For those of you out there that have a message that you want to share with the world, you've been thinking about becoming a spiritual teacher and or speaker, motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, Sunny Dawn Johnston and I are teaching a Celebrate Your Life speakers training program again. And you were in one of the original classes that we taught about that.
I think I was in the original class.
I think you were in the original classes. Exactly. For the very first class that we taught about that. So can you share a little bit about what you experienced during that speakers training program and what were some of the important things that you've actually taken from that class? And this is a really good time for me to revisit this with you because we haven't touched base since the class. And I'd love to know what things that have been really valuable for you in, kind of taking your speaking career to another level.
I think when I went in, the biggest takeaway was realizing I had so many beliefs wrapped around who I needed to be, what I needed to have as a speaker. And I had so many that were so incredibly limiting. You and Sunny really helped to point out just the grace that's available to us when we step into really connecting with our message, with what's most important for us to share, that we're not here to please other people because it's not about that. That's has the ability to be shattered pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And you're speaking from that place of true authenticity, something that lights you up, that really is, when you're in that connection space, that really comes forward. You don't have to convince anybody. And it's really there for you to just kind of be that channel to bring that forward and to really trust that. I think that was the biggest piece that I got in that very first live session that we had out in Arizona.
I love that. I love hearing that because you don't have to come, one of the things that everybody thinks is that you've got to step into this program with it all together. And no, you don't. Because that's pretty much what we're teaching is how to put it all together and to speak from your heart, to speak from your passion, because everybody has a message to share. It's whether or not you want to start stepping into that space and become that teacher, become, that person who's out there public speaking. Yeah. So you're also writing a book right now, aren't you?
I am.
Tell us a little bit about the book.
The book is the temporary title, but I think it's going to be the title is
temporary title. Okay.
Yes, it's Holding Our Breath. A mother's journey. Well, it's about my journey through my son's illness and the triumph over that, and the journey I took as a mom. It's not just my son's illness, but my son had a severe respiratory virus, much like coronavirus, and that almost took his life just after birth. And it's really about how we as mothers take ourselves through these situations, and how we can take ourselves through it without hiding, without fear, without sacrificing ourselves, without the people pleasing and losing ourselves even deeper while our child is sick or while our child's going through whatever they're going through. And so the title is Holding Our Breath, and it's by the end of the year, it will be complete. And
yay! I can't wait to see it.
I know, right? It'll be my first full solo book. So all the
now
other
you've done some collaborative things, right?
Yeah,
with us.
I want to say 8 of them. 2 of them were bestsellers, but they've all been compilations. Yeah, with other amazing.
Good. Those are fun too. And you did that with Kira with As You Wish Publishing, right?
No, I did it with Sunny, and I did it with
Sunny. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent. Yay! All right. Anything else you want to leave us with today?
Well,
Any wonderful wisdom. Let's talk about the speakers program for a second, because I want everybody,
I was
because that is
speaking
such a great, I know, it's such a great program. And Sunny and I are teaching it again. We're doing it again starting March 30th. And for those of you that aren't familiar with either Sunny or myself or how we teach, I've been producing events for 25 years, and I've worked with the who's who in the spiritual and personal development industry. And I've really developed a very, very keen eye on what works and what doesn't work as a spiritual speaker. I know how to grab an audience. I've watched, I mean, everyone from Wayne Dyer to Deepak Chopra to Marianne Williamson to April Dodd to Sunny Dawn Johnston to, I mean, everybody. I've pretty much worked with the exception of the Dalai Lama. I've never worked with the Dalai Lama, and one day I would really love to. So if Dalai Lama, you're out there listening, I'd love to work with you. At any rate, so we're going to go through, how to present yourself, to creating your own like workshop title and description. So when you're pitching producers, what a producer is looking for in a conference presenter. And it really is a full intensive program. And then we do some lives with people as well. I'm going to post the URL. I mean, it's on our website at celebrateyourlife.com. If any of you are interested, just go ahead and visit celebrateyourlife.com /speakers program. Anything else you want to share about it? Anything else special that the
other thing is, doing the live. You guys are going to be doing it virtually though, right?
We're going to be doing it virtually. It's actually the virtual program that we're releasing. And then we'll also do some live presentations with people as well on Facebook. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
The other bonus of that is that you meet people who are working as well as you are to get themselves on stage. It's beautiful to be able to share your story. My story was that I was told I was a terrible singer when I was in first grade, and that I was ugly and I should hide myself. And that was in my head for a very, very, very long time. But at the same time, there was some other voice that said, I want to be on stage. I want to be on stage. In fact, when we were at the Celebrate Your Life live event, I was waiting for you to say, who would like to come on stage? I was like, I couldn't wait. I was waiting for that moment. And if that's ever anyone here that's listening, take this moment, take this for yourself, because there is that voice that's been wanting to emerge through you, despite the stories. I have plenty of history that said, don't get on stage. I have so much to validate that story, but I don't have to listen to that story, because
we make excuses. Like we make excuses. Like we'll put it off. I know we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do that. Yeah. But I always just share with somebody, you have a message you want to get out into the world. This is the program to at least jump off and start with. And then we've got more intensive programs, but this is definitely the program. Selena is here. Hi, Selena Hodges from Texas. She's in Texas also. I know, that was crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, everybody.
I know that your mom really she had a heart for wanting to bring forward others who are out there to really get their message out into the world. And so that really spoke to me when you shared that. And I felt like, that was me. That was, I wanted to be picked out of the audience. Hey, I know you over there, you're quiet, but you've got something to say.
Exactly.
Come forward. And that's the call that I felt by being part of the Celebrate Your Life speakers program.
Oh, good.
Then you should listen to that if that's coming forward.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And there's an early registration discount. It's still going on. So just check it out. If you just go to our main page on our website at celebrateyourlife.com, you'll be able to see that. And then it'll take you to the speakers program. If you just scroll down the page, you'll find the speakers program. All right, everybody. This has been really, really, really nice. Oh, Selena, thank you. Oh, Christy's here too. Christy Blakeway is here. She's saying, after taking the course, I had so many offers to speak. Okay, here, I'll put this on the screen. I had to start saying no, which was crazy. Jump in. Oh, Christy, I love that.
Nice.
Well, because we give you the tools to learn how to do that. We give you the tools to learn how to, put yourself out there. We've got another student who has a regular segment on the morning news, because we teach you how to put yourself out there, how to pitch producers, TV producers, conference producers, etc. So, all right, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in April. We had such a nice time. Have a really, really good weekend. So much love to all of you out there, and stay safe and healthy and wise and wonderful. Mwah!